Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us at the Fingal Chamber event. My name is John O'Donoghue. I'm the president of Fingal Chamber. Whether you're a returning member, a new one, or just attending as a guest interested in learning more, you're very welcome. To give you some background, Fingal Chamber is a representative body of businesses in Fingal with cross-sectional membership of over 400 companies supporting 18,500 jobs. The Chamber is committed to enabling the best environment for members to thrive locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. As the region's largest business organisation, Fingal Chamber provides a range of services with benefits that support business growth in a variety of ways. Firstly, we advocate and represent member interests and are the business voice to local and central government, helping members to influence decision makers and policy. Secondly, the Chamber's networking and events programme enables members to grow their professional network, connect with business, and build leads. Thirdly, we promote the successful Chamber Skillnet, where businesses can achieve results through collaboration and upskill their workforces through bespoke and subsidised training. Members can also avail of business profiling and promotional opportunities and enhance their brand in the region. And lastly, in relation to our offering and its benefits, the Chamber's busy export documentation service can assist users with efficient international trade, enabling them to expand their markets. Established in 1994 as the Swords and District Chamber of Commerce, in 2011 we joined the Dublin 15 Chamber and became the accredited chamber for the entire Fingal region. We now have members across every town of Balbriggan in the north, to Santry in the south, and from Hoth in the east to Blanchardstown in the west. The members represent a wide selection of industries and activities such as aviation, information technology, logistics, financial services, hospitality, retail, and agri-foods. Today, we address the key challenges and economic concerns facing Fingal businesses uncovered in our recent Business Sentiment Survey. I want to take this opportunity to thank our panel, AnnMarie Farrelly, Chief Executive of Fingal County Council, Michelle McDonagh, consultant from our partners in Adare Human Resource Management, and our own Feargal Malone, who drives the Fingal Chamber Skillnet programme. Finally, if you think the Chamber can help you work through these challenges, please engage with us. Our contact details are on the website at fingalchamber.ie. Thank you for listening. I'll now hand you over to CEO Anthony Cooney, who will be your host for the event.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our event for Local Enterprise Week. I want to just firstly pay a tribute and a thanks to Oisin Gagan and his team at the Local Enterprise Office for a terrific job in showcasing all that's good in the business community in Fingal for all their activities in this week, which is and they've got a very comprehensive program in place. This morning, I suppose what we want to do is we're going to cover off some of the items that came to light from our business sentiment survey we conducted two weeks ago. And out of that, there's some interesting findings, and I'd like to cover some of them now. We have the relevant people, I believe, here in the room who can provide some answers to some of the questions that we were given. So I can just start by, if I can share the survey, some of the key points of the survey now. So I suppose what I want to do is just to flick through some of the findings from it. We have discussed this with the various stakeholders in the region, and as I say, I think we have the relevant people in the room who can answer the questions. So really the biggest challenges that we would have seen from this were recruitment and retention, availability of skills and talent, public transport and traffic congestion. So the sentiment survey was conducted between the 17th and the 28th of January, and it focused primarily on the immediate and short-term challenges facing businesses in Fingal. As you can see in summary, the 36% of the respondents were from businesses that employ 50 employees or more, while the balance of responses came from businesses ranging from 50 employees downwards. Almost 60% of respondents were from the hospitality and tourism and business professional transport and logistics sectors, which is sort of indicative of some of the people are probably hardest hit during the pandemic just gone. If we look at some of the business challenges, so we cut this in two parts. First of all was, what is the biggest challenge facing your business in the next 12 months? So specifically aimed at people to answer the question about their business. And a very clear leader in this, at over 40%, was staff retention and recruitment. This was a real issue right across the piece in every sector. Needless to say, we've got a lot of people in the tourism and hospitality sector, but right across the piece, it was almost, as you can see, 43% of people responded that that is an issue for them. The next question we have is about competitiveness in Fingal over the next 12 months, as you as a business owner or leader saw. And the three items that came out there was availability and skills at over 30%, housing availability, which is 25%, and public transport services or traffic congestion were the three biggest items on businesses suggesting that it could affect the competitiveness of their business in Fingal in the next 12 months. In relation to staff recruitment and retention, and I know Michelle will cover this in more detail later, what measures do your business find most effective in attracting and retaining talent? Competitive salaries, top one, and positive work culture was the second largest at over 50% each. And below that, then you've got flexible and remote working, which is a challenge for businesses, a challenge for the employees, but equally it's an issue that businesses have to be cognizant of, and employee benefits. Managing flexible and remote working, and it's a question we ask specifically of companies because there's a new departure for a lot of businesses where they were forced into managing remote working during the pandemic, and we had to go with all of the challenges that threw up. And we asked specifically what did they see were some of the issues there. Staff collaboration is one of them. So collaboration, innovation is an issue for businesses. And the isolation of staff or issues about them around their mental health, about being isolated at home and working. Productivity featured as well. It's an issue for some businesses. And then there's a balance between flexible working and the right to disconnect. So they're all thrown into the mix here, and we've got some very interesting results out. In relation, and just a summary of it, in relation to the business outlook over the next 12 months. In overall terms, you can see that 80% of the people are going to provide increase in training for their staff. People are expecting their revenue to be up, and the staff numbers will grow accordingly. But I suppose what it says to us is that the outlook in Fingal is very positive. And I suppose that's what we all want to hear, but this is the answers that came back from the businesses who responded. One of the other things that we had in here was, and what came out, I just want to, while AnnMarie is on the call, I'll make a comment here that the vast majority of businesses were extremely pleased with A, the level of supports came out from local and national government, and B, in particularly around Fingal, was the speed at which they came out. So publicly and on the record, AnnMarie, I'd like to thank you and your staff for carrying out that task very, very efficiently when businesses really didn't know where to turn. So on behalf of the business community, thank you for that. So the survey findings essentially are staff retention and recruitment are the biggest challenges facing all of the businesses in Fingal. Our competitiveness is at risk due to lack of skills, talent, availability of housing, and transport issues. And a positive outlook is predicted as many businesses are expecting to see an increase in staff numbers, training, revenue, and profits. So yes, we have challenges. Yes, we have some positives, but equally, I think, and more importantly, we've got the solution. We think we have some of the solutions may help you as a business owner to survive and thrive over the next 12 months. And indeed, I think, you know, AnnMarie and Will does have something to say about some of the initiatives we have in place with the local authority as well. And I suppose what I want to now is just welcome the panel. Officially, first of all, with AnnMarie Farrelly, is the CEO of Fingal County Council. We have Michelle McDonagh, who's a senior HR client relationship consultant with Adare Human Resource Management, and our own Feargal Malone, who's our Skillnet network manager. So we're going to have a presentation from each of the three panelists, and at the end of it, then we'll take some questions. If you can put your questions through the Q&A or the chat box, and we'll deal with the questions as they come in at the end, if that's okay. So first up would be AnnMarie Farrelly. So AnnMarie, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm delighted to be here this morning. I attended the launch of Enterprise Week this morning in the Risk Centre, and there were about 40 businesses there. I'm going to spend the day at a boot camp. So very interesting start, and good to see such engagement across the business sector so quickly after coming out of COVID. And as Anthony mentioned, it's the first physical event in 2 years. So that in itself is an achievement and something to be enjoyed, I think, by all of us. That said, I mean, we worked well online. So I don't think the hybrid version of day-to-day work is going away anytime soon. And it does give us a chance to link in very effectively and perhaps reach more people at times. So we'll certainly be continuing to use it. I know the Chamber will too, and the local enterprise office. I suppose I would say there was nothing surprising in the business survey, but so good to hear directly from businesses as to what your perspective is on the county. Many of the challenges faced by yourselves, I'm facing as well, in leading an organisation of this size. And just to, I suppose, demonstrate that the level of impact a local authority can have in an area, if only in monetary terms. I suppose our yearly budget is 300 million, that's our revenue budget. And then in addition to that, we have a capital 3-year programme of 784 million. So that's projects for Fingal, in excess of 240 projects to be delivered in the next 3 years. And we're no surprise that a lot of our focus is on the delivery of housing, but it's also on the delivery of active travel measures, some new links, transport links, and trying to address many of the issues that are coming through in the survey as challenges for business. I suppose to talk more generally then, we were pleased, I suppose, to be in a position to I suppose, work for government in trying to get businesses supports directly to yourselves. Anthony mentioned the likes of the Restart grant. That was 30 million that we paid out to businesses, and it had to be done quite quickly. From the time it was announced, our perspective was the most important thing was to make sure qualifying businesses could get the money into their accounts as quickly as possible. And thanks to Emer O'Gorman, who led from our economic development unit in making sure that happened during, I think it began in August and September of 2020. And then there was a number of iterations of it as we followed through. Also to acknowledge, I suppose, the rates waiver, which we again processed on your behalf. And I know it was so important particularly at the beginning of COVID, when there was such a restriction on how you did your business, but even to this quarter, where there's still a limited rates waiver in place. So I suppose I have to acknowledge the extent of government supports, and I know you've acknowledged that yourselves in the survey. In addition to that, I suppose we have continued our work through the local enterprise office right throughout the 2 years. There may not have been physical events, but there was the likes of a 10-fold increase in the trading online vouchers, where again Leo worked to try and get businesses online quickly, and where businesses did not have an established presence online or could not do business online, trying to work with businesses to get workarounds so that you could sell and trade while you were not able to open your doors. So I think you'll find that that there are now more Fingal businesses online than ever before, and they're maturing and developing their online presence to make sure that you can do business seamlessly and indeed reach beyond Fingal, perhaps beyond Ireland internationally. So again, that work will continue. The Enterprise Ireland recognise the benefit of that close working between the local enterprise office and businesses, and have now moved to increase the level of resource that's available locally to you. So the idea is that you get the support you need when you need it, and we'll certainly in Fingal be working to make sure that happens. Looking at that 784 million capital investment in the county, that does cover active travel measures, about 30 million being routed into the county from government to spend on active travel measures this year. And that's aside from our strategic green ways which are in the planning, the likes of the Fingal Coastal Way, the Broadmeadow Way, which has planning permission, the Royal Canal Way. So many destination tourism offers in the planning, which again we hope will yield dividends to all of your businesses as they're developed out in the coming years. We've projects from Balbriggan over to Dublin 15, from into the city in Santry, and right across east and west in the county. You know, I hope many of you will have heard of the Balbriggan project, which has benefited from a 25 million investment from government again. You'll see the works we're doing on the harbour right now. It's about improving the centre of Balbriggan, town centre first approach, getting more economics, more housing into the centre of our towns. And you'll see us working across the county with that ethos in mind in the coming years. The Swords Cultural Quarter is the major project for Swords. And again, a major investment here just off Main Street will be in the region of 40 to 60 million to be spent in Swords in the coming years, and we'll be going for planning permission for that building now in the early summer. We're going to be looking at our Main Street in Swords as well, work already underway to improve access. 70% of the people who travel around Swords live and work or go to school in Swords. They could walk or cycle safely, and we need to get those routes in place. And that's our plan, again, reacting to some of the issues you're raising there in the survey. Skills and access to skills is an important thing for me in leading this organisation. We can't roll out that level of investment without the appropriate skills in place, and we're finding it difficult to attract people as well, and particularly the technical grades of engineers and planners. We're working hard to recruit. We are publicising our jobs nationally and internationally, trying to attract people to the county. We've had some success, but we're effectively running a rolling recruitment programme at all times, trying to attract people in and trying to get a good reputation as being a good employer. And remote working will feature for us no more than it will feature for you well into the future. We have a hybrid model at present. We did move our digital transformation programme very early on in the pandemic. We delivered what was to be a 3-year programme over 3 months, given the ability to work from home for many of our staff. Not everybody can work from home, but where we can, we will facilitate it. And certainly where we can, I suppose, attract staff by having a good reputation as an employer. We think that's essential right now, because other than that, we will not have the resources to deliver on what is already planned expenditure in the county. And that's really important to get that expenditure out quickly. We want to work with Fingal Chamber, and we have many plans to do that. They help us with the Fingal Skills Strategy. We have many of the key employers in the county working with us on that skills strategy. The likes of the Dublin Regional Skills Forum are also involved, Dublin Airport Authority, some construction companies like Glenveigh, the Pavilion Shopping Centre, the hospitality sector through the Carlton Hotel, and many more. And we've just recently done some specific work on the construction sector and on logistics. Anyone that knows the county will know that logistics has thrived over the last 2 years, in particular in Fingal. Reaction, I suppose, to our digital transformation and the need for data centres, but also that internet shopping, the logistics, the large scale big boxes in or around the airport that are dealing with all our shopping needs. And again, so important that we can provide the employees that sector needs. and a lot of challenges in that area. But again, we're working through some initiatives, firstly, like the Chamber did with yourselves through the business survey, finding out what's needed, what the problems are, and working with our partners to address those. I'm pleased that we're going to have an event with Dublin Chamber, Fingal Dublin Chamber, in May in relation to recruitment and also the needs of employers. So that's an event that's in the planning, and we're happy to co-sponsor that with Anthony on the 12th of May. It's planned. Housing and places for your employees to live is really, really important. We've been the leading housing supplier in the country for a decade or more at this stage. We've continued to deliver housing when it hasn't been as easy in other places in the country. We have a good structure of towns and villages where people want to live. Towns and villages that have services, they definitely need some more services, and we have that capital program to deliver on any of the shortcomings. But you'll find that people identify with our towns and villages quite quickly. They look to the likes of Lusk and Skerries and Malahide and many more as places that they can identify with and where they want to move to and raise their families. So we have a good quality of life with the coast, with our amenities, with our regional parks. However, we don't have enough housing. We're working with government on the Housing for All plan with the intention of delivering not only social, which is our housing authority responsibility, but making sure that there's affordable housing available for your workers in the county. We'll have our first scheme completed now in April in Lusk, where we'll have affordable homes available to those that have put their names forward to purchase them. We're moving on now to Rush, and you'll see more and more of those schemes being launched in the coming months. Donabate, Dublin 15 in Churchfields all have projects planned. It's not easy. It's not easy dealing with that affordability question. It's not easy, I suppose, making sure that the cost of housing delivery, the infrastructure delivery arrives at a product that's affordable to the wages that are earned by the people who want to buy them. So we're working that through. We're leaders in that area. We work well with the local minister, Adare O'Brien, trying to come up with innovative solutions so that affordability piece is in the planning from day one, and that we know that the end product will be fit for purpose. Very happy to be here today. So I'll be here for the rest of the hour, and we'll happy to take any questions that you have. But for now, I'll hand back to Anthony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, AnnMarie, for a very comprehensive presentation. And just to keep us moving along, in relation to staff retention and recruitment, if we get Michelle maybe to come in on this now. So, Michelle, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, and delighted to be here. I'm still not used to the mute and unmute button even after all this time. I'm delighted to be with you for Enterprise Week and to talk about the sentiment survey. I suppose for me, I'm going to focus a little bit on the HR challenges and primarily the primary issue that came up around recruitment and retention. So I hope to go through that with you a little bit more today. So as a general introduction, first of all, Adare Human Resource Management are the strategic HR partner of Fingal Chamber. And what that means is we are available to provide support to members in terms of their management of their HR function in their businesses, whether you're a small business or whether you're medium or much larger. We're the leading experts in employment law, industrial relations, and best practice human resource management in Ireland. And I suppose I wanted to re-emphasize today, first of all, the partnership program that we have available to all chamber members. And really, when you're faced with these challenges that have come up in the business sentiment survey, particularly obviously around your HR, the idea of the partnership program is that it's an option that's available for members to buy into if they feel that's something that they want to do. And through the partnership program, they will be provided with a very clear and consistent baseline from a compliance perspective in terms of contracts of employment and all the various policies and procedures in a comprehensive employee handbook. And obviously, we've seen huge changes in those documents and baselines in HR over the last year or so, and we'll continue to see more. So it's a very important part of the support package that is available to members, and keeping people in the know then with changes as they evolve, and of course giving you access to a dedicated client account manager that can turn those textbook, let's say, policies and procedures into practical tools when you're dealing with real life situations. Adare Human Resource Management work with a wide variety of sectors, so we have expertise across all the business areas, and we work with not-for-profits, we work with multinationals, we work with smaller family businesses, so we work with a whole range of sectors and sizes, and we use that expertise from business to business to give you the best tailored advice for your specific situation. And just that I'd share with you a couple of the logos of the clients that we work with to give you a broad sense of that. So in terms of the partnership program, we provide advice, guidance, support, and representation if it is required. If you do find yourself in front of the employment, or in front of the WRC, or in front of the Labour Court, we can provide that support as well. And we're starting to see a little bit more of an uplift in terms of the cases that are already coming through to the WRC, and we will expect to see a continuation of that. So obviously our objective is to support you in the early stages so you can avoid getting to that point. But if you do, it's just good to know that we can support you through that as well. We also have provide access to Linea, which is a portal of information that's available. So rather than relying on Google, let's say, to give you information that you don't know if you can trust, or often it conflicts with itself, we provide access to Linea, which is part and parcel of our partnership program, but it's also available as a standalone option for anyone that might be interested. And through that, you'll get a username and password, and you can access information on the whole life cycle of the employee. So from starting and onboarding, those recruitment challenges, through to retention, through to any industrial relations issues around disciplinaries or grievances or bullying and harassment claims. And it's really about having a go-to resource, and it's very practical. So tools and templates and FAQ documents of the kind of common issues we're being asked, we'll put the answers up there. It's controlled and managed by Adare, so we update the content on it daily. And the idea is to give you that knowledge and power at your fingertips to take a little bit more control of your own HR. So if anyone is interested in finding out more, feel free to get in touch with me directly, and I can talk you through it or give you a demo on the program. I suppose in terms of the wider supports that we provide to the members of the chambers, there's a number of activities that we have through the year, and hopefully you'll have started to see, we do weekly communications every week. In the newsletter, we'll do articles that we think are of interest or of relevance to members. And so I've just put up some of the titles there in terms of the comms we've done since 2022. So we've done things on the introduction of statutory sick pay, which we know hasn't come into effect yet, on reduction to the EWSS scheme, on protected disclosure bill, pension coverage, on a HSA review of workplace injuries and absence management. So we'll do a mix of topics on HR and also health and safety that we feel are relevant to members to help keep you in the know and keep you up to date when things are changing. In terms of our events, we have, thankfully, we have an event scheduled for this exact topic, recruitment and retention, and that's coming up on the 7th of April. And it's going to be delivered by our HR and employment law manager, Ronan. And so feel free to sign up. You'll find the links to all of these on the Fingal Chamber website. We also have our HR forum, which we've started this year for senior HR leaders in their businesses. And we have that next event coming up on the 7th of April. And that's going to be on the lived experience of new ways of working and all the challenges that we're facing, and particularly things like culture and engagement and retention, some of those things that are coming out of the blended remote work policy. We'll be discussing some of that as well, and look forward to that event. We also have a conflict and dispute resolution coming up later in the year on the 31st of August. And that will be, I suppose, as we expect to see the number of complaints and WRC claims increasing as the year goes on. So hopefully at that time it'll start to give some relevance and support to the members as well in the area. So just to go into our topic of today, for me anyway, the recruitment and retention landscape. So it's interesting to me that the reports from the survey are very aligned to the feedback that we've got in Adare on our survey. So every year Adare do a HR barometer survey across the business community in Ireland, and we do it twice a year. So our last survey was conducted in November of last year, and our next one is just in the planning now. So we hopefully have results of that to share probably end of April, early May. And in that survey, recruitment and talent acquisition were the #1 priority for businesses, with 67% of respondents putting that down as their #1 concern. Again, retention was listed as the #2 concern, 65%. So very aligned to your survey results. And it's interesting to see that from November until now March, that hasn't changed, and in fact has probably increased in concern for businesses. Expected employee turnover for 2022 was 10%. And also 62% of organizations were planning to increase their headcount in 2022 by an average of 10%. So you can see, if we're going to lose 10% of our workforce and we're looking to recruit by an extra 12%, it's not surprising that organizations, like AnnMarie said earlier on, there are starting to adapt rolling recruitment pipeline and recruiting strategies, because there's such a huge demand, and we're certainly seeing that as well. And 59% of the organizations were planning to increase salaries by an average of 3.7%. And again, we've seen huge salary pressures on businesses, even more so again in the year as it's kicked off. And I suppose anecdotally, since the survey was conducted, but I'm certainly dealing with a lot more absence issues, absence related concerns. So we've got an extra pressure that's happening on business in terms of, it might be related to stress and overwhelm, or it might be related to conditions that maybe weren't diagnosed, unfortunately, through the pandemic, are now starting to come to light. So we're starting to definitely see a change in that space as well. In terms of what are the answers, what are the solutions, I just thought I'd share with you some of the successful things that I'm seeing from the clients that we're dealing with, and what we're recommending to clients as well. And it starts with planning out your recruitment process very, very clearly, and your timelines in advance. So before, we probably would have jumped in a little bit faster and just got going with it. But now, because you know the market is so tight and so challenging, it's really worthwhile sitting back and taking time to plan it out, so that you know a lot of the answers to your questions already before you start your process. How many stages are we going to go through? Who's going to be involved in each stage? Have we got our questions ready and prepared? Do we know the format? What dates are we going to do it? Can we block the diaries now? Those sorts of things are helpful just to avoid any delays, because once you get started, you need to move fast. We're definitely seeing a much more speed in the process, but before you avoid losing candidates that might be getting offered somewhere else. Also rethinking the role profiles, the salaries and the benefits, and the actual advertisement that you put out. So making sure that your role profile is really, really clear, that you've been really competitive, or as competitive as you can be in terms of your salary and your benefit package, and that the advertisement is, you've put more effort into it. You know, you've really tried to think about what are all the good things that there is to work here. You know, put in things like, and I know Osborne shared some of their tips with us as well around, you know, what is your retention rate? If you have people that tend to stay with you, put that on your job profile. You know, do you have free parking? Do you have free kitchen facilities? You know, are you open to flexible and remote? Put that in, you know, put everything in to try and be more attractive, to make you stand out from the crowd and differentiate yourself. So putting more time into that. And as I said, preparing your answers in advance to the common questions, so that you're not trying to decide it when you're in the middle of a process. Polishing up your employer brand. So have a look at, when you Google yourself, or you look at all the various jobs boards or different review boards, you know, what are they saying about your company? And what does your website say about your company and what it's like to work there? What image are you putting forward from somebody that may not know you and is just seeing your advertisement and researching your company now? How can you help them? How can you help to improve that experience? And in terms of your planning, do allow longer time. It's definitely taking sometimes up to double, if not longer, the time that would normally take us to recruit a role. And I'm certainly allowing longer advertising time, so that you're trying to get the most applicants before you start your shortlisting process. And certainly a wider reach, like we do have the opportunity to attract candidates from broader areas than we might have done before. So certainly think about where you're advertising and promoting that role. We're seeing a lot of work in terms of businesses doing a lot more resource planning, so longer term thinking. So they're thinking for the rest of 2022 and into 2023, what roles am I going to want? how many of them, and when will I want them. So they're planning much further in advance to get started on the recruitment campaign. So it's really good to see that strategic thinking coming into businesses. And compensation and benefits, a lot of requests and asks and conversations, not surprisingly, around this space. And doing benchmarking, trying to assess what is my competitor doing, and what, you know, what I need to be watching what my competitors are doing that might poach my staff or might be attractive to my staff. And talent scouting, and of course that goes back to the rolling recruitment process concept. And you're constantly on the lookout, you're constantly listening and talking to people, and doing what we do so well here in Ireland is to use our networks to understand who might be available to us and who might be somebody good that could join the team, if not now, then in 6 months' time. So tap into that skill that we have and that network that we have, as I'm sure you are already. I'm also hearing more about refer a friend rewards for employees, that type of encouragement within the workplace, and that seems to be having good effect for businesses to kind of regenerate those initiatives internally. And really it's about seeking to capture the hearts and minds during the recruitment process. So we're hearing a lot of these stories about even employees ghosting employers or disappearing off the radar or turning them down at the last minute. So putting a lot of effort into actually capturing the hearts and minds of that person during the process. So it's not just a functional, you know, this is the responsibilities of the role, can you tick the box? It's about what are you looking to achieve in your career in the next number of years? What type of environment do you like to work in? And how can we actually help you to deliver on that, that personal preference of the environment that you work in? So you really have to sell the opportunity of your role and try and go for that win-win in terms of the process. And then it's about, from the engagement piece, it's about surveying employees, keeping connected to them, conducting the one-to-ones in terms of that performance management piece and clarity of role, and empathetically listen to staff and to what they're saying, and then try and follow through with the actions that they're asking you to take. I think in general, if there was, you know, strategic areas of HR that I'd be saying, what would we look at? It's performance management, it's creating that sense of fun and connection and culture, that piece, the learning development, reward, and then career paths, people understanding what the options are for them in that business. And then I just also wanted to touch on, again, the whole idea of retention and organizational culture. So the employment practices of employers of choice is, you know, giving employees the responsibility and authority to get things done, treating employees with respect and trust, providing feedback on performance, recognizing achievement, dedicating thought and resources to promoting high morale and hiring the right employees. So it's really focused attention on the employee experience, and have a recruitment strategy or a retention strategy in place, have specific initiatives that you're doing to try and improve the workplace that you're in and make things better. In terms of some quick ideas around what you could do, just from low cost, medium cost, and longer term. Just on the low cost side, there are a lot of things you can do even if you don't have huge budget, and the little things often matter. So showing appreciation for a job well done, recognizing personal or family milestones like birthdays, weddings, all these sorts of milestones, providing perks, so maybe discounts through your clients or local merchants if you're in a shared business park, those sorts of things. Providing workplace conveniences, so we've heard about, you know, the fruit baskets being delivered to the office and things like that. So as people start to come back together again, have a look at those things that maybe you had forgotten about doing. Having fun at work, trying to create opportunities, whether it's through CSR or social committees, trying to just generate that bit of fun at work as well, which is important. Stress relievers, I know I saw a note from one of my clients, they're doing, you know, yoga sessions online or in person now if we can. Just any kind of initiatives around well-being and health and well-being is important. And then supporting employees through times of personal crisis, which, you know, is always going to be a feature of the environment. So EAPs and supports like that can be very beneficial if you don't have them in place already. In terms of medium costs, we've got bonuses for achieving agreed goals, providing enhanced annual parental leave, maternity leave. We see a lot of trends around that at the moment, and encouraging job-specific professional, personal learning and development. Really important, again, learning and development. So whether it's a specific course, maybe an Excel course or something, you know, quite functional, Or in the longer term, we talk about having more learning and development strategies and career paths and planning so people can see a place for themselves in the future, and then they're more likely to want to stay with you, to be on that journey, if they can see their next 12 months or 18 months or where they're moving towards. And of course, looking at promoting work-life effectiveness through the flexible work policies and figuring out, you know, how this works for the employee, but also for the business or the organization. And having that management style and culture of understanding towards employees. I think we have been very good at that, to be fair, throughout the pandemic across most businesses. We've really been strong on that. We just need to maintain that now going forward and just do it in a different way. And now it's all about culture, engagement, understanding people, making them feel connected with the rest of the team, as opposed to making sure people are comfortable on their own individual set of circumstances. And creating an environment of truth and honesty, diversity and inclusion, of course, seeing a lot more focus on this. So there's some of the longer term things that we can look at, but hopefully you've gotten some tips and ideas depending on where you're at on your journey. So look, that's the main thing for me. Other than that, just to let you know that we're available for support at any time. More than happy to have a conversation that anyone would like to. You can contact me on Adare Chambers at Adare HRM, and I would be happy to talk you through any of the supports that are available. So I'll hand you back to Anthony now. Thank you. And again, I'm around for the Q&A later on.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Again, a very comprehensive presentation. Now I'd like to introduce you all to Feargal Malone, our Skillnet Network Manager. And Feargal will talk about the availability of skills and talent and training requirements. So Feargal, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Anthony, and thank you to the previous presenters. Very engaging content this morning. Thanks to everybody. So Fingal Chamber Skillnet, for any of you who haven't come across Fingal Chamber Skillnet, we are around since 2019, so we're now entering our fourth year. We've had, as many companies may say, we're probably only in our second year because of COVID, but we have gained great ground in the area of training over the last 3 years. Just in terms of how it works for anybody who doesn't know, so we ask our businesses within the Fingal region to engage with us primarily, have a conversation with me or any of our staff with regard to training, and we engage with you and we create training courses, we publicize them, and we invite others to join us on those training courses. So it has the added benefit of having all the companies training together. We subsidize it with Skillnet Ireland money or grant fund, and just the benefit of having everybody together on a training course will reduce the costs overall. So that's just in a nutshell what we do. Today I'm just going to run through a couple of areas that may be of interest. The current business area of Fingal, what can we do, the pillars, I suppose, a focus for us in Skillnet Ireland, or in Fingal Skillnet, and our plans for 22, and we'll just look at as we've spoken about already, the landscape, the Fingal business landscape is a very busy one. I took note there from AnnMarie where you know, housing is one of the major areas. So if people are coming to Fingal, there's jobs available. It's the major growth area of the country and has been for a good many years. So, you know, where we're looking at it now, and as the Business Sentiment Survey has shown, we have now in a position where we 33% have said that the biggest challenge affecting competitiveness within the region is the availability of skills. So all of the pieces fitted together, Fingal Chamber Skillnet wants to be assisting every business within the region to develop that area of skills and development. So the key business areas we spoke about: hospitality, business services, logistics, transportation, food, and construction has been the major areas. We're looking at new arrivals of business, particularly in the digital sector, and businesses reopening to their full potential and looking towards growth. So how can we help as Fingal Chamber Skillnet? So right across the business sector, there are two sides, I suppose. What can the business do and what can we do to assist the business? So with what we've seen over the last 3 years and more is that the business strategy, when it's aligned with talent development, has a really robust solution. So when I talk about that, I say, you know, the business wants to grow. So what has happened within that business strategy at the very top level, where you have the buy-in from the CEO, from the board, everybody is aligned into how we're going to get there. So we want to grow the business, but we have to take our employees, each and every employee, with us on that journey. And really what we're looking at here is an overall training plan aligned to the growth of the company. Talent retention is, we spoke about, and Michelle took us through some tips on talent retention. That's an important part of where we are just at the minute. You know, in years gone by, talent retention may not have been a particular focus for us, but now we need to hold on to all our staff. So training is a part of that. When an employee sees the benefit of the company, getting behind them, training them up for their particular role, that's an important part to them. So in terms of training, you know, we deliver on business training at the level of Excel, PowerPoint, time management, individual courses on communications. But as we grow, and we've seen particularly over the last year maybe, that we're starting to get into longer term programs, where I suppose we've laid the foundation of what we do, and now the companies believe in what we can deliver. So we're looking at the likes of graduate training programs. We're moving into longer term manager supervisor training programs. Something that may be of interest in the manager supervisor training programs is, you know, you're promoting some of your staff up to a higher level within, maybe into a supervisor role or a manager role, based on the hours of, or the years of service. So you may see, you know, one of your employees has 10 years of service and knows the business inside out, but to go into a manager or supervisor training or supervisor role, they need the training to deal with that new role. So they have been working alongside a lot of their colleagues for the last couple of years. So they're now becoming a supervisor to those colleagues. So they need people management training, communications training, leadership training in order to carry out that role. And as I said, aligned with the business strategy, in order to get to that growth, you need to bring these employees along. We had particular success over the last 2 years with virtual selling. We noted at the very beginning of COVID that selling was going to be a major problem as we got through COVID. So we weren't able to go out, we weren't able to greet people, we weren't able to meet them. So how were we going to get our message across on delivery of the product we have? So it's a mixture of our digital marketing programs plus virtual selling. So, you know, using the likes of LinkedIn to develop relationships with clients and people. So, you know, there are other areas that we can help. All of these programs, you can contact us and say, look, I'm particularly interested in that. Can you give me some detail on when a training course can be aligned for that? As we progress then as well, over the next, we come to the end of a 3-year budget, if you like, at the end of this year, and heading into the next 3-year budget, we will be looking towards the likes of professional certificates and degree and diploma courses. We're particular, of course, at TU Dublin in the Fingal region. We're exploring a lot of courses now for towards the end of this year. It's just interesting from the employer's point of view, that more and more employers are coming to us and asking, can they put some of their employees on degree and diploma courses? Such is the level, I think, where we're at in Fingal, that we're growing all the time, and we have businesses who want to grow in that way. So the pillars of focus, just in terms of the general direction of Fingal Chamber Skillnet, we're under the umbrella of Skillnet Ireland, and as I say, grant funded through the Department of Education. So we're aligned to, I suppose, the growth area right throughout the country. And those pillars of focus for us will be the digital side of things. We spoke about digital and digitalization. Everybody knows that it's growing in prominence in the area. Business sustainability and climate action. One of the notes from the Business Sentiment Survey was it's climate action is not high on the priority list of businesses. I suppose we have a responsibility to change that perception, that sustainability and climate action are a requirement. We need action on climate action and sustainability. Now that can be changing everything from no paper to PDFs to using digital delivery dockets rather than paper dockets. It's small things that move our business in the right direction and can even cut costs. Workforce innovation we spoke about as well, where we want to move the workforce in a different way. We're now in a hybrid working environment. So what's I suppose what builds that whole new workforce area now? How is that going to look in a couple of years? SME leadership, again, reverting back to that planning and the strategic planning of every business. We want our SME leaders, we want our SME CEOs and managing directors to be leaders, to take the business forward. So one of the main pillars we're going to focus on is towards the end of this year is leadership programs. We're also supporting FDI through talent development. FDI is huge for us in Fingal, and it's an important part of what we do in Fingal. So we must support the employees through talent development there. Interesting, just at the minute, we are entering into a new business revitalization program. So we are submitting towards the end of March for additional funding that will assist businesses in the business revitalization process. We would be absolutely delighted if any companies out there wanted to contribute to that, just even on the ideas of what we can deliver, what we want to deliver, what the businesses require. And I know in the areas of construction, transport, logistics, hospitality, there's a real need for support there. So by all means contact us. The main thing, just leading on to this next slide, is engagement. So the word for me, definitely, and for us in Fingal Chamber, is engagement for 2022. We want our members to engage with us, talk to us, even explore ideas with us. That's what we're here for. The digital training programs that we're running at the minute, get your employees up and running on Excel. Every single company, I think, probably in the country uses Excel to some degree. And then that leads on to the new Microsoft Power BI, and you may even be using the likes of computer-aided design, SolidWorks. Your people, it's an important part of your business. Invest in your people. We have people management, we have supervisory management, we have leadership programs. Invest in the processes for your business as well. So lean, making sure that your business is running lean, digital transformation, project management, and then look at innovation and future requirements. As we go through, we used the analogy many years ago where the guys who deliver the milk, used to go around on a Friday and collect the money and write in the notebook, and you had paid up for the week. It's now done on a digital piece of equipment. So every milkman in the country has a handheld, as they call it. And it's just interesting how that can be related to every single company. So the transformation to digital is a major requirement for us to advance through 22 and into the future. Any questions at all, please give us a call at the Chamber office, or you can get me on Skillnet at fingalchamber.ie. And thanks for your time, and we wish Enterprise Week all the very best for the remainder of the week, and thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Feargal. Again, a good comprehensive presentation. In line with the survey and the requests of the survey, and I understand, I can see now we're in time pressure and at the end of it. So I would like to think that we've covered most of the areas that the attendees would want covered. If anybody's got any questions, we have a couple of questions on the Q&A, so we've got them in already. So if it's okay with everybody, we can ask the panelists directly afterwards by email, and we'll send the answers back out to people, if that's okay. I'm just conscious that Local Enterprise Week has to run as well, and we're under a tight time schedule. I want to thank AnnMarie, Michelle and Feargal for taking part this morning. In relation to any questions you may have, if you want to email them in here at info@fingalchamber.ie, we will help wherever we can. We're here to help. One thing I would say is that AnnMarie was very correct at the start in saying that I think most businesses have worked well online. I know that the local authority did. I know our own organisation here did, and Adare and our Skillnet pivoted completely from an in-person organisation to all virtual events. So I think it's testimony to the sort of resilience and flexibility of the Irish workforce. So, and it's a well done and bula bus to everybody involved. I just want to wrap up by saying thanks again to Oisín Geoghegan and his team at the Local Enterprise Office, and to Emer O'Gorman, who's not on the call today. She's the Head of Economic Development, Tourism and Heritage, and for all their support, and AnnMarie's throughout the year. I wish you all the very best for the Local Enterprise Week going forward. We will, as AnnMarie alluded to, be having a number of events to address in more detail some of the issues raised here today. One is our Business Expo, which is scheduled for the 12th of May. It's going on the Crown Plaza Hotel in Santry. And that will address issues such as recruitment and retention, local area government supports, Business to Business Expo is one of them. And of course, it's the training requirement that people have. We should be able to encompass all of those within that event. Also in relation to housing, and the point I would make is that Fingal as a local authority feature very, very prominently in the provision of housing and consistently have done so. And I want to thank AnnMarie and her colleagues there for doing a good job. They've just appointed a new Director of Housing. We plan to have Robert and on an event fairly soon. If he's on the call, he's heard it here first. And very soon, and we're hoping to get the Minister for Housing, Darragh O'Brien, to attend as a local TD as well, to attend that call. And we'll be able to brief people further on the plans, certainly for the Fingal region. And Minister O'Brien can give us the national view as well. So listen, thank you very much for attending. Wish everybody all the very best for Local Enterprise Week. Agus slán go fóill.